now our attendees can jump in and see what's going on as well.
Awesome.
And it is 2:58 p.m. So we have a few more moments here, of course. And then I'm going to start to ask you a few questions about, I think, giving back hair education, because I think that that's important for us to understand kind of where you come from, what your history is a little bit. And then once we have maybe 5 minutes in, we'll start to jump into the topic at hand. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Cool. Now, where are you right now? Are you at your apartment, I imagine?
Yep.
Is that in Andover?
No, I'm in Everett. So down towards Boston, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we just bought the place in December. So, yeah.
Great.
Yeah, so with this like lovely crash of the market is probably not the best time. But hey, you know what?
Yeah.
We got a multifamily, so this is in for like the long haul. So we're not really like looking to buy and then sell later. We're gonna keep this for retirement. So it will keep going.
Good. And let me see. So you went to Paul Mitchell's School of Portsmouth.
I did, yeah.
And how long ago was that? When did you graduate?
I graduated February 2012.
February 2012.
Yep.
And I was reading up on your bio a little bit, and you had mentioned, it kind of started, your foundation started when your mother used to take you to the salon, and you remember the fragrance of the salon and the environment, and it being an area that you enjoyed.
Yep.
Is your mother in the industry at all, or was she always a client?
No. She went from having, these pixie haircuts when we were like really young. And then it got a little bit longer, probably like the length that my hair is now because of quarantine, Right. And then it just kept growing. Now her hair is like down to here, like a long, long bob, but she just always got her hair done. She went gray at like an early age. So she absolutely hated it. So we were in the salon every 4 to 6 weeks, so probably 6 weeks back then. She's now to like every 3 weeks she comes into the salon. But, as a single mom, she had nowhere to like just drop us off. So we always had to go to the salon with her, which is awesome. I was watching the hairstylist the entire time. And then I was like, well, if you get to go, like, can't I get my hair done? So I'd be like having highlights and like all these crazy things. And I just loved it.
Way before it was on trend for men to be getting their hair done, of course.
For real. I did not care. I'm like, you get blonde highlights. I want blonde highlights. But yeah.
Highlights.
Yes.
Right. Now it's great camouflage. Do you guys use any fun terminology like that when marketing to your clients?
Of course, yeah. So, we have, and what we go over, I went over in my branding class is, you have to speak directly to your client. So like your ideal client. So for us, we speak to someone who is in the age group of, 24 to 35. She is a career focused female who loves to, do fun new trends with their hair and like follow those, those terminologies, the baby lights and the teasy lights, and, they'll start to say them before we even bring it to the table. So yes, we keep up with all of that because we have to. That's our clientele.
Cool. Yeah, and it's going to be interesting as we talk about today's topic. I do want to ask you a bit about your business in general, because I know you specialize in balayage and you have a ton of blonde clients. And if we're watching what's happening here in New Hampshire and we're watching what's happening in Maine, Maine doesn't have any restrictions on what services they can provide in the salon, whereas New Hampshire, we're only able to do root touch-ups and cuts right now, right? So it'll be interesting to see what Charlie Baker forms, which I think is on the 18th, they're talking about phase 1 and what that's going to look like. But for someone like yourself, where the majority of your clientele is blonde clients, I'm kind of interested to find out how you feel about opening on time if they say that you can't do a full head of foils,
Right.
We'll talk a little bit about that. As we have participants jumping in, I think, and we're 3:02 now, we're going to formalize, and our brother Kerry Sullivan is here, as a couple of our team members are. Hi guys, thanks for joining us. We see some fantastic clients over here as well. Thank you guys for joining us today. What we're going to do is formalize a little bit of what's happening here. So in the background behind me, that's our Instagram live. Hi guys, thanks for joining. And we have Sean Michael with us today from the Salon Beau in Andover, Massachusetts. And we're happy to have you, Sean. Thank you very much for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So a couple of quick house notes, rules of thumb. Number one, if you're new to Zoom and you're on a computer, in the top right-hand corner, you're going to see a couple of different viewing modes. There's speaker view, where you will see only who's talking, or you can put it on gallery view, which enables you to see both Sean and myself having this conversation at the same time. We would recommend gallery view. I think if you're on a cell phone or an iPad, those options might be at the bottom in your views. The other thing that we've done is we have all of our participants on mute, so we're not hearing any dogs or kids or any distractions in the background. But if you have any questions, there is a chat box there, and we would love for you guys to pop in, leave your comments. We will work through to answer them. There's an option where you can raise your hand if you have a question, etc. And actually, we can unmute you and you can go live and ask a question if you want to too. But we encourage you, of course, to leave comments, questions, and we will do our best to address them. The other thing that we're doing right now, guys, is we are recording this webinar, and we will be posting it to our Sullivan Beauty YouTube page. So if you have a friend that you think some of these topics are beneficial for and you want to share it with them at a future point in time, you'll be able to jump over to the Sullivan Beauty YouTube tomorrow, and you'll be able to access that, of course. So let us start before we jump into the topics at hand, which are all really focused around preparing for reopening, communicating with your clients, communicating with your team. You know, what are some of the considerations that you're making? I want to start with a little background on you, Sean. So you're a salon owner, of course. How long have you owned Salon Beau?
We are on year number 6 right now.
Year number 6, okay.
Yep.
And how many stylists do you have working with you?
We have 6 stylists in total, and then we have 2 receptionists and a manager.
Okay, great. So you're not the manager, I see. And then is it a commission salon or is it a booth rental salon?
Yep, so we are a commission salon now. Our plan is to become a hybrid salon within the next year.
And why is it your plan to become a hybrid salon? Is it just you're finding that your stylists kind of want to evolve in that direction, or are you just trying to offer that additional option?
So a little bit of both. So I feel like as a stylist myself, there was always that dream. I feel like a lot of stylists have that dream of like always being in charge of your book, or, you know, having the flexibility that you can come and go as you please, or order the products that you want, or use the products that you want. So I want to give them that option. I don't want, you know, I love my team and I love the, you know, environment that we're in. I don't want to build up someone, you know, and to the point where they feel like they hit a brick wall and then they have to move on. I feel like I want the salon to be, you know, evolve all the way up to the, you know, the very end where, you know, renting a chair or running your own business behind the chair, that's their goal. If they want to open up their own salon, then I encourage them and they send them on their own way. But for me, I think it's important to have all of those steps, you know, as in one location.
Sure, sure. And you said you graduated from Paul Mitchell School, Portsmouth in 2012.
Yeah.
And I saw that you had some pretty awesome accolades professionally, which is great. But one of the most notable as of recent, what we've watched happen during the pandemic, is you launched a digital hair show called the Giving Back Hair Show. And when I first saw the social media, I'm like, whoa, 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 where is this coming from? Who is this? What is this about? And we reached out to our good friend Nina Kovner of Passion Squared, who was one of the presenters involved, one of, I think, 9 educators you had, and said, who's organizing this? Is this you, Nina? And she's like, no, it's this gentleman, Sean Michael, out of Andover, Mass. I'm like, what? Oh my God, we got to reach out to him and first commend him for his work there. But why don't you just briefly speak to where that came out of and like what was the success of that, and was it beneficial for the people involved? And maybe we'll ask afterwards how they can continue to follow.
Sure. So for me, I knew that I'm like a workaholic. I'm going to just put it on the table, right? I love to work. I love to, you know, evolve as a business, as a person, as an individual. So when I went into, you know, quarantine, I knew that I couldn't just sit on the couch and watch Netflix, or, you know, that's just not me. I mean, granted, at night, of course, that's what I do at night. But during the day, I knew I had to stay working and stay busy. And so I started to work with a few of the brands that I am sponsored by. And, you know, I started doing lives with them. And yes, of course, I've done lives in the past, but never at the amount of times I've been like, you know, I've done live every once in a while. It made me nervous. You know, being live means I can make a mistake and people can see it. And so I just kept doing it and kept doing it, get a lot more comfortable with it. And so I remember did a free class on branding, and I did this by myself on a webinar, and I got so much response. Like 200 people signed up within like minutes, and I'm like, whoa! Obviously, people are ready for some education and want it. But right now, everyone's at that time where we're so uncertain of the future. People aren't going to pay for it. So I said, you know what? Let me grab some of my really good friends who are educators in the industry, and let's see if we can put together a hair show. So, you know, it was definitely a learning lesson for me of like I told you before with Zoom, and you know, of course, I love to do marketing and advertisement and all of that. Nothing on your, you know, your level because you are a pro, but I just enjoy that stuff, and so. Again, it was a lot for me to do all of it and take care of all of it, then run the show, then make sure everyone has a sponsor, then make sure that everyone has all their information to me, then becoming like a videographer and like clipping things. I was like, I played so many, I had so many different hats, but I really did love it. It was such a success. We had somewhere around like 3,300 people that registered. On a typical day, it was like 1,800 people in, you know, on Zoom at a time. It was unbelievable. People are super, super, you know, thankful. And, you know, I'm live right now on the Facebook page, and, you know, I can see people coming through, and it's super beneficial to everyone. And, you know, it was just a way to give back during this time.
Very cool. And you know what, from an experienced team who has hosted hair shows for over a decade now, my brother, sister, and I, the way that you emceed and kind of integrated questions, I thought was fantastic. You kept the artists on point, and you kept it stimulating when maybe it dried up because they were focused on their technique or whatever. So
right.
Kudos to you. And for those of us who are listening right now but may not know, how do they kind of stay in touch and follow that to get that free education that you're offering?
Yeah, so we are on Instagram. It's GB Hair EDU. Okay. And then we are on Facebook group. We have a specific group, an exclusive group, and that is Giving Back Hair Education.
Awesome.
So they can go on there, they can request to be in the group, or they can just follow us on Instagram where there's a link right in our bio to our Facebook group.
Okay, awesome. And then the last little thing that I want to touch on before we jump into the topic at hand is, you know, when we started with the Sullivan Beauty Presents webinar project, we reached out to you based on the format that you were teaching, which is a really popular class. And that's a branding 101, how to find your ideal client, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And, you know, in that class, you speak to the fact that, you know, your passion is balayage. And I think it's 80% of your clientele has really become balayage clients because you've marketed towards that clientele.
Right.
So I want to share with the attendees that, you know, we changed the topic kind of last minute. I think it was this weekend we talked and we said, you know what, well, that would be a great beneficial topic. Maybe we revisit that in the future. Right. And right now where everybody's head is at getting back to work and trying to figure out and navigate and demystifying and talking to their clients and talking to their team, you know, you are a savvy salon owner with a team. Let's talk about, instead of this topic, let's talk about what you're doing to prepare to get back. So I want to share with everybody, that is kind of how it evolved, that we connected with Sean and where we landed today. And our intentions at Sullivan Beauty, of course, are just to help our clients grow and provide resources. So we feel like this type of conversation that we're having with you, Sean, it's going to be your opinions, and it's going to be what's right for your business. And it's not necessarily what's right for everybody's business. But we want to kind of get those ideas out there so people can wrap their heads around them. So that's really where today came out of, guys. And again, feel free to leave comments. I don't know. Can you see the comment box, Sean?
Yes, I can. Yeah, the chat. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So Carrie's saying nice job on your shows, etc. So
I mean, I would really love to hear where all of the attendees are coming from. So if you guys can drop it in the chat, and just let me know where you guys are coming from, because I think that will definitely customize what we're talking about, because I know we've heard a few different states now are opening up. So I'd love to hear where everyone is coming from.
Yeah, and let's start with that. So in general, what's happening right now is Maine has decided to open May 1st. They're part of phase one. They don't have any restrictions on services. They do have, thorough guidelines on what to do with clientele, disinfecting, scheduling, allowing people to come in, messaging, things of that nature. And then we saw that New Hampshire released the Governor's Economic Reopening Task Force released their reopening guidance document, showing that effective May 11th, barbers and hair salons and other cosmetology businesses can open if they're operating in accordance with those guidelines. And as part of that, our New Hampshire cosmetologists are only allowed to do haircuts and root touch-ups.
Right.
They can't do a full head of foils. There's no blow drying, which again, on that Maine perspective, you're allowed to blow dry, which is crazy to me, because if you're 6 feet away from somebody and your blow dryer can go 25 feet, what the heck's the difference, right? So we don't necessarily know exactly what's going to be happening in Massachusetts just yet. And we're seeing here that we have some attendees from Connecticut, from Massachusetts, and we've watched what's happened with Maine. We've watched what's happened with New Hampshire. I believe right now in New Hampshire, the task force is working with the New Hampshire Cosmetology Association to try and figure out some modifications to the current guidelines.
Yes.
So that should be interesting. That's supposed to come out this Friday. And of course, the 11th is Monday, and that's when they're saying that salons are going to be able to get up and running. So I think people are really trying to wrap their heads around it. So for you, how have you been in touch with your team, and how is your team feeling about the concept of coming back to work kind of during this whole pandemic?
So we, I'm pretty close with everyone in my salon. We're really small, there's a total of 9 of us. And so we've been on Zoom calls. We always have a group chat that we always are going back and forth on. For us, we feel like when we communicate and we get everyone's opinions and all of that, we can form a better solution for everyone, right? Not just for something to benefit me or benefit them, just to benefit all of us. And, something to talk about is like the PPP loan, right? And that's something that we had discussed. And of course, as a business owner, it is my decision in the end to do, what I feel is best for the business. But even, the team was like, listen, where we're at for unemployment, we're doing okay. It wasn't what we usually get on our checks, but it is something that is safe. We know that it's going to be continuing to give us this paycheck. And with the gray area of the PPP, where it's like you might be able to get it all fully, forgiven and all of that, they were like, we just don't want you to take out a loan that you might not be able, you have to pay back, or, whatever the case may be. So it's, again, they're not just looking out for themselves, they're definitely looking out for the business as well. So we communicate all the time. So again, I'm going to push out that we're going to have a Zoom call within the next couple of days, because I got so much PPE stuff that we are going to need when we open. I'm going to kind of purchase, grab more things that I'm going to need, or maybe I will need, I'm not sure, but I can watch what's going on in all the other states and say, all right, this is their guidelines. So let me just grab these things while I can, because who knows, those things might run out. So I think some of my staff are a little nervous. And, others are like, yeah, that's fine. I'm ready to go back when you're ready to go back. They know and trust me to make a really smart decision. So I think with all of the preparing that I'm doing, it's kind of easing them a little bit. But just like anyone, it's so unknown. It's a scary time as a person, an individual. It's, nerve-wracking. You don't know if you're going to get it, give it to someone that it's a scary time. So some of them are, doing okay. Some of them are a little bit nervous, but we're going to work through it together.
Okay, good. And you brought up a couple of things here I want to elaborate on. Number one is, that PPP loan and people feeling comfortable on unemployment and not being sure whether or not they want to come back to the salon, I think is a natural thing, right?
Right.
Because it's it it's not most advantageous for business owners, because now you're trying to negotiate with your team member to say, well, we want you to come back. But it's great that the government has that stimulus in place. And so I think that that is a common topic. And I just want to kind of touch on that for a minute, because it's happened in our business. It's happened, I'm watching it in our stylist group, a lot of the conversations that are happening. And I think that that's a natural thing. So you have to be empathetic to that if you are a business owner, and understand what that looks like, and, run some numbers and understand what that looks like.
Yeah.
The other thing that you touched on was not PPP, but PPE, personal
Right.
protective equipment. And, there are distributors, whether it be ourselves, Cosmoprof, Salon Centric. I heard Micello Salon Systems has PPE products. So you can start sourcing your products and find out, what you might need. To give you an idea, both New Hampshire and Maine, you have to wear a mask as a technician, and your clients have to wear a mask. You have to be gloved as well. In Maine, it's got some really interesting language talking about face shields, where it says, we recommend you wear face shields. However, if they're not available, you can choose to wear glasses, for instance. And then there's another section in Maine's guidelines that says when somebody's getting shampooed, we want them in face shields. So, Maine is moving forward with trying to get face shields.
Right.
Fortunately, we at Sullivan Beauty have a full section of our website called PPE. We're bringing in all the top demand items, but I think it's important for the stylists who are watching this to understand, like, the supply and demand of those items. You have first responders trying to get their hands on it, et cetera. I know you have a relationship with Olivia Garden, and Olivia Garden is one of the manufacturers who we're sourcing a lot of these great tools from, whether it be masks or face shields.
Yep.
We have gloves, we have disposable capes, we have cover-ups for chairs and things of that nature. So, look around, do some shopping. And in some of these cases, guys, if you can't get chair covers because they're not going to be in until June, and you have to run down to Home Depot and get like some plastic to put over your chairs, feel free to get creative with that.
Absolutely.
The other thing I do want to tag on is, we just saw that New Hampshire's Department of Safety and Homeland Security and Emergency Management Resource Center, that's a mouthful, has a mask order form for businesses, where businesses in New Hampshire in need of disposable masks can get free masks. So that's fantastic. And, we deal with 6 states, so we're not trying to compete against them. We're just trying to make sure that this information is available for people. But maybe that'll happen in Massachusetts as well. We'll see. Right. So it's important that you are planning. And what I heard from that, Sean, is that you're looking at what's happening in other states, and you're trying to source those products now for your team.
Right. I mean, for what I did with the masks is huge. I think masks are going to be, scarce, very soon. I mean, they already are. I mean, that's why so many people are making these cloth masks. I mean, I got 2 for every individual at the salon. Like, we could, wash them and clean them. We can put filters in them. Each team member gets 2 each, so we can kind of switch off and they can wash them. And then I bought 1,500 disposable, just getting ready, because what I did was, took basically the average of what the amount of clients that used to come into the salon before all of this happened, on an average, whatever that may be, 100, 200, 300, whatever it is for your salon, and times it by 12. So that's where we got to about 1,500. So we needed to make sure that we had masks for 12 weeks. But when we go back, it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be as many people in the salon. So it might even last us 24 weeks. But we just want to make sure that we have enough boxes of disposable disposable masks at all times.
Yeah. And then on the topic of communication with your team, you said that you're hosting weekly Zoom. So is it easy, like, for people who maybe haven't done it? Obviously, everybody's logged in and watching this, but Was it easy for you to set up? Are you using the free Zoom account? Well, now that you've done the show, you probably have a paid one, right?
Yeah, free does not go up to 1,800, unfortunately, attendees. But yeah, so now I literally just paid for 1 month of Zoom. But before that, I was using the free. I mean, they cut you off, I think it's 40 minutes or 45 minutes, something like that. It happened a few times when we were in a conversation. We just stopped and relogged back in to finish the conversation. But yeah, I would recommend just using the free. There's no need to pay, you know?
And one of the questions that I have is, how do you have you found that any of these Zoom conversations have kind of turned into like bitch sessions, or do you have like a structure there, or is your team tight knit enough where you're all on the same page anyways? How'd that go?
So I don't really, I mean, my team knows that I'm like, no, like I don't do drama. I don't do any of that. I mean, granted, we all have time to speak about what is maybe bothering them or what concerns them, you know, but they know, I think at this point, to not make it like what you would say, like a bitch session or anything like that. Everyone kind of voices their opinions. I literally have all of them lined up, and I'll just like go down the line and everyone will speak one at a time, just so it's not so much going on at the same time and I can't really hear everyone talking. But I keep it very structured. I have a list of things that I'm going to talk about, just like a meeting. We do a monthly meeting. So like, it's the same thing as that. Like I have things I want to talk to everyone about. And they know that format, so they kind of stick to it, I guess. But no, not much, no.
Okay. And what about, have you already started your communication campaign with your clients yet to share how you're going to be booking your backlog clients, or when you're going to be reopening, or your sanitation practices? What's that look like so far?
All right, so we are not giving a plan on any of the sanitation. Oh, granted, they know we are a very clean salon. They've always known that. When this first started happening, I did send an email just saying like, listen, you all know how clean we are as a salon. We are taking extra measures to do X, Y, and Z. And that was probably a week before we actually had to close. But now we are waiting to hear from what the state says and what their guidelines are. We have our guidelines are specific to our own, our salon, but we're not gonna put that out there until we get everything, because I think it can get a little confusing when it's like, oh, we have, you know, Salon Beau and Sean is saying this, and now Sean's saying this. It get kind of confusing. So I'm gonna put it all together in one email, but we communicate to our clients. Like, I think throughout this entire quarantine, we're emailing them at least once a week, if not twice a week, whether it's like, hey guys, you know, we're sending out an email in probably a half an hour. I have it scheduled for a half an hour from now. And it's basically like, we have solutions for you. So we have a couple different videos from all of our team. And, you know, I'm talking about at-home hair kits, right? My favorite products to use you know, conditioning treatments and all of that. So right. Those are all my favorite. We have them ready to go at the salon. We can ship them out, or they can come curbside pickup. You know, another one is doing like, you know, day 2 styles, or like Zoom style, you know, styles for your hair. Or another one is how to clean up your husband or boyfriend's neck, right? Just simple little things that can get us through the next couple weeks. We're just always communicating. And now with booking appointments, I think you had said something about that. How we are doing it is everyone that was booked and had to get moved are getting on our priority list. So we have 2 different lists. We have a priority list and a wait list. Those of, you know, our clients that were booked in end of March, April, or beginning of May, they are going to be who we call first, who we book first.
Yep.
Then those of, you know, we have a lot of clients that, you know, call up 2 weeks, 3 weeks before and be like, hey, can you get me in? And yes, of course we can get people in here and there. So those of them who want to get in, you know, at this point, everyone wants to get in, but, you know, they go on the wait list. And so we have to go down our priority list first, and then we start on our wait list.
Okay, cool. So that's your basic principle for how you're going to handle all the backlogged appointments. I think that makes sense, chronological order. I want to dial in a little bit to that whole communication campaign, because it's something that you said there kind of struck a chord, and that was that you are, it sounds like your primary channel is emailing your clients. Are you doing that through your software system?
So we are doing that through MailChimp.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And oh, go ahead.
Nope, go ahead.
And in addition to the content that you're sending, it sounds like you have videos from some of your team members. I've been in your salon. I've seen your team. You kind of have an average demographic of a younger team, I would say,
We do, yes.
who might be a little bit more into embracing the whole technology or getting on video because they
Right.
live on their phones or whatever. But did you find it difficult to engage them? Are there certain people who are not going to get on camera while others are? And what are they filming? Is it just their phone they're using?
Yeah, so with that has been a challenge. I mean, whether you are, a Gen Z or a millennial, any generation, it is always awkward to see yourself on camera for the first couple
Yeah.
times. It's very natural. So I really tried to push it in the salon. So we have a receptionist that we are slowly but surely pulling her away from the desk and pulling her onto the floor. So what she will be doing, and what she has been doing for the last couple of months, it was a test run, is running our social media while we're at work, because I can't do that. I'm working behind the chair. So videotaping us doing things, putting a lot of content on our social media when we're at work, because that's where we can get it. And, I need a lot of video work because I love to do that on my social media. And I think slowly but surely a lot of the team is. I think it was just getting them to do it,
Yep.
practice, and I think that's it. And what they are using is they're just using cell phones. Our cameras on our phones these days are, amazing. So why not use it?
Are you having to edit any of that stuff afterwards?
Yep. So I do a lot of editing work. The team, I have a few of the team that are really good at editing. And I have a few of the team that is not so good at editing. So I haven't gotten a chance to sit down with them and go through how to edit a video, which is probably something I should probably record. But when in that, instance, I just said, send them to me, especially during quarantine right now. I have a little bit more time on my hands. I'm going to edit the videos for you guys. So I usually edit the ones that can't do it. And then those who can do it, I let them do their thing.
Okay, cool. And we have some content that we're going to be talking about, simple software that you can use on your phone. There's apps where you can just do easy editing. I mean, we have to use it all the time, and it's, you can teach yourself. It's for any novice. Julie, you have a great question. I'm going to talk to you, or we'll ask that question of Sean in a second. But the last thing on this whole communication to clients that I want to ask you is, are you incorporating any of your communication into like a digital strategy other than MailChimp? Are you doing anything through the Salon Beau Instagram channel, or what's that look like?
Yeah, so we communicate on all different levels. So I run my website, so everything is on our website is immediately updated. We have our MailChimp, so our email campaigns, and then we all do everything on social media. So whether it's Facebook or Instagram, we communicate a lot through Instagram because, again, that's our demographic. So our demographics on the younger side, 24 to 35. So they're on Instagram. So that's a really easy way to get into, right in front of them. But honestly, I am like a huge believer in email and email campaigns that, they have been such a success for us. Our clients know that they are going to receive, weekly or bi-weekly when it's the normal time, in the new norm, weekly or bi-weekly, they receive an email. Actually, I should say every week, because we do a last minute cancellation email every Tuesday. They get it, in which fills our books, which is really nice. So if someone's listening and, that is huge for us. Every Tuesday, all of our clients get a thing, and it says like, Sean has an availability on Wednesday for a balayage, glaze, haircut, whatever it may be, at 4:00. And honestly, we send it out on the beginning of Tuesday after we go through all the phone calls that for in the voicemails, and then immediately by Tuesday night, the rest of the week is full. So it's really, really nice. And our clients look for that. So they know about the emails, and they that's a good way to communicate for us as well.
I mean, I think that's a pretty novel concept, because you just said, you're communicating via Instagram because that's where your crowd is living. So that's kind of the social media platform that they're on. But you have now kind of trained them to look for these emails, and your email open rate is probably more successful because of that,
Right.
because of on Tuesdays, they're looking to find out if they can sneak in that week. I think that's
Right.
a really good one. And if somebody else is saying love that. Couple of people. So back to Julie's question, it has to do with your booking strategy. She says, do you have to cancel your book to make that space now to get these new people in?
Okay. So I don't know if I'm understanding the question completely. So if I have to cancel, so what we did is I'm assuming she's saying like now that we're going to go back to work and we have people in there, we're not at that point yet, but when we are at that point, anything that is booked stays there. Those people have already booked their appointments. They deserve that spot. And I've heard a few stylists, I'm listening to everyone and getting as much input as I possibly can about some people are saying that they're just going to pick up their book and move it over and drop it. And, as a stylist, that might work for you, right? But as a client, I'm a client of, I don't get my hair cut at my own salon. I like to be a client. I go to somewhere else in New Hampshire, actually, and I enjoy it.
Reaper cleans you up, right?
Yes, yes. So I get to go in, I get to be a client. For me, if my barber said, Sean, we are going to pick up your appointment and move it 7 weeks down, and you're going to drop you in on like a Tuesday at 3:00. I don't know. I'm just a person that I book things at a specific time because it works with that week's schedule, right? Every week is the same for me. So it could work for some people. It just wouldn't work for me as a client. So we are just basically, we have a template on our website, which I can drop here and you guys can go look at it. But it's a template that gets sent to us, and it basically says who you are as a client, what you were booked for, what you want to get booked for, and then it lists out every single day. So it says Sunday AM, Sunday PM, Monday AM, Monday PM, Tuesday AM. So you click when you are available to come in. So when we are ready to go and get back to work, we are ready. We will know when people want to get booked. We don't even have, it would be a really quick conversation on the phone. Hey, Susan, we saw that you're available on Tuesday. Are you going to be able to be available at Tuesday at 10 o'clock this upcoming Tuesday? Yeah, great. We'll put you in. Click. It's going to be very quick and easy. We have so many people that we have to get through that it has to be, very organized. So that's how we organize that all out.
Sure. And it looks like Julie's elaborating there, asking due to the fact that clients that may have pre-booked already, it's hard to have priority lists when they were supposed to come in 6 weeks already.
Yes.
That's what is hard for me. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So in that situation, Julie, and just a suggestion, starting right now on your open date with that priority list from chronological order. And of course, I think the difficult thing that, a lot of us are wrapping our heads around is we're going to be operating in the same windows. Some people, I talked with a manufacturer, Carrie Lauren and I talked with one of our manufacturers yesterday who also distributes in England. Manufacturer was Unite. And they said that they have clients over there who have started opening at 6 a.m., closing at 10 p.m., split shift. So they have 5 of their stylists in with 5 clients in the AM and 5 stylists and 5 clients in the PM. So it enables them to try and fit in as many clients as they can. So they've had to alter their hours for that, of course. But, the reality is we're not able to double book ourselves. And I know our conversation earlier, you were sharing with me that you work on double booking. Your majority of clients is double booking. So I wonder if that also weighs into whether or not you will prioritize the type of client that comes in, or what you're going to be doing to try and minimize how long they're in your chair while still trying to create that same, well, you can't create the same income, but still trying to recapture a big chunk of that income. Have you thought about that?
Yeah. So again, we haven't fully made an exact plan, right? So because we're waiting for those guidelines from our state, but again, we can only look at what we can see from other states. And what we're seeing is that, there can only be one person in your, one person per stylist in the salon at a time. And I think I read this on New Hampshire. I'm pretty sure that's what they said was,
Yeah.
you can have up to 10 people in the salon, but if there's only 3 stylists, you can only have 3 clients.
Right.
So that's tough for us. We double book, we triple book, and that's how we make our money. I mean, we provide a very good service. We provide very good customer service. Everyone is on board. We're a huge, we are a small team, but we all take care of all of our clients. We all work really hard together so that it creates that environment where they feel like they are truly being taken care of without us literally speaking to them 24/7, when they're in our chair. So what we're starting to plan out is possibly splitting up these root colors and haircuts, because for me, it might take me 15 minutes, maybe 30 minutes to put on a root color. But if they're sitting in my chair for an additional 30 minutes where I can't make money, that doesn't work for us. We, at the end of the day, we need to still make money, especially when we lost all of this money from being off for, 2 months. What our plan might be, if we have clients that are living within a window of, like, say 20 to 30 minutes from their house, which majority of our clients do, we will probably putting our root color on and putting a cap on their head and sending them home and telling them to rinse when they get home. It's something we still need to kind of go through with our insurance and see if that's something that is still, will still work under our insurance. But that's a thought. So, like, they come in our chair, we have 15 minutes to put their root color on, we have 15 minutes to clean, and they already have left the salon. The next client can come in. So basically, I could do 2 root colors in an hour, which typically is something I would do, but I don't have to rinse. I don't have to do a haircut at that time. So therefore, it kind of fills our book as much as we possibly can without them processing. A process time is really going to be the killer. And I think that's what we're going to have to try to figure out. And you know what? It's just what we have to do. We have to just kind of evolve, and we have to change the way we do things. I mean,
Yeah,
maybe just for a little bit or for a while, who knows?
you're not alone in that thought. I pay attention to other distributors across the US, and one of them featured a really great article in their newsletter that went out to all their clients about a really prominent salon in Chicago that has set up guidelines for how to go home and wash out your color appropriately,
Yep.
setting with gloves, wearing the gloves, etc. And they talk about the steps in the shower, and they kind of broke it down real simplified. And, I think that's a scary thought for a lot of people. We don't want to send clients home. And I like that you said, I'm going to have to talk to my insurance provider to find out what that looks like, because it is important that we're not getting ourselves into deeper water here. And that's one of the big topics that's happening in our stylist group right now. There's a lot of New Hampshire stylists who feel like, I don't want to do a half-assed job and send somebody home, not completely rinsed out or whatever it may be, because they can only do so much in the salon. So that's a tricky one. And I think that we all have to abide by what the government is putting in place and figure out how to work around it to appropriately serve our guests. Not work around it. Let me say work within it.
Yeah.
To appropriately service our guests and make sure we're doing it in a safe manner that's not going to make more liabilities for us as a salon owner. And I am kind of curious. Oh, go ahead, Sean.
I think the other big thing is for me is if I need to do those, root colors and all of that, my clients, again, I'm not going to take a new client, put a root color on and send them home. These are my clients, right? Someone I've been doing color on them for, it depends. Everyone, every client is different, but they're loyal to me. They've been in a few times. So when I put just a root color onto their hair and send them home, they're just going to be, super grateful that they got their roots done, guys. So I think that's another big thing, that it's not really about, like, yes, of course, we need to have good customer service and we need to, like, up our, X, Y, and Z. But at the end of the day, your client wants their roots done. And, whether you as a client are sitting on your couch, or you're on Zoom, or you're at work, or you're doing none of that, whatever the case may be, you're working in your yard. No one likes roots. No one. So if they can get that done, they are going to be over the top, grateful for you to take the time, and they're going to understand, guys. They know that you've been off work for 8 weeks, that you're super excited to get back to the salon. They know that you're trying to take care of them and all of your clients. So I think they're going to be super understanding of the new guidelines that you have to stick to, and maybe you as a business are going to kind of evolve and change into. I don't think there's going to be that much pushback from that.
Yeah. And there's another great question coming through about pricing. And that was another topic that you and I talked about earlier. And again, you can be on both sides of this coin. This one also comes from Julie. What about pricing? Raising the prices due to all the PPE and sanitation protocols we need to provide, but also loss of time. What are your thoughts on that? Julie, I'm going to start with this one because knowing what PPE products we have brought in, we have broken down the cost of a typical sanitation fee for each of your guests if you were buying those products from Sullivan Beauty. So I just dropped that into the chat, and it kind of breaks down what the cost is. And basically what you'll see here is if you have 2 masks per client, you're seeing it comes to just over $4 for the necessary products.
Yep.
So, your sanitation fee could be $4, it could be $8, it could be $10.
Right.
Sean, I know that you had mentioned you are being very cognizant of the fact that a lot of people don't necessarily have the extra income right now, perhaps, and you're trying to avoid doing a spike in don't see that. Can you email it? Thanks. Oh, she got it. Okay. You're trying to avoid doing some type of a price increase right now. Is that correct?
Right. So for me, I mean, price increase, I've done them a few times in the past. To be honest with you, I think the best time to do a price increase period, doesn't matter what's going on, is like October, right before the holidays. But that aside, I think my biggest thing is I hear a lot of people talk about, when we go back, I'm going to have to up my prices for all the stuff that I'm going to need to get, like the sanitation list that you just listed, which is amazing, by the way. Again, I bought gallons, like 6 gallons of hand sanitizer. I have 1,500 gloves coming in. I mean, masks coming in. We have like 35 boxes of gloves coming in. We have all of this stuff. And yes, of course, we're going to need to spend more money. And me as a salon owner are going to need to spend more money. We will have a sanitation or COVID-19 additional price onto every single client. We were in like the $5 range. So that gets us, if we're looking at this right here, guys, it gets us another, basically $1. But again, you guys have to think, a lot of these clients may have lost their job. They may have, got a decrease in pay. I mean, I have a lot of people and a lot of friends that are in the corporate offices, and they, as a corporate, don't want to fire their people or lay them off, but they're going to drop their price down. I mean, their salary down, which is crazy to me, but this is what's happening. This is reality. So if I go up in my prices just to make a little bit more off of less people, am I going to make the same as keeping my price the same and giving my service or delivering my service to everyone? I think that is something that you need to kind of weigh out. But I do think that everyone should have a sanitation fee or COVID-19 fee. And that's just to, take care of those gloves and the masks and the, all of that. It's expensive. I mean, especially right now where I feel like a lot of the prices are, definitely pushed up a little bit. But that's just, again, reality. So I would say always do a fee for every single person. And that's what I would do.
And, I do want to share a little tool real quick. I'm going to share my desktop screen, and I want to show you a piece that we just put together at Sullivan Beauty, which is now available to you guys. But basically, these are salon communication to your clients' potential topics, okay? And the idea here is, look, we know communication is going to be key right now. Here's a couple of topics that you may want to discuss. And this is the next thing that we're going to talk about with Sean is like the opening date. Let's say Massachusetts says, yeah, the 18th you can open phase 1. It's good to go. Are you going to be opening on that date? Are you going to do a soft opening with half your team? Are you going to be postponing maybe until you're fully ready? We talked to a couple of the clients up in Maine, and they said, look, the concept for us is it opened on May 1. Not all of our stylists want to go back to work right away. We're not in a position, because I'm not an independent stylist, I'm a commissioned salon owner, where I have to, open right away. So I'm going to wait and maybe give it the 14-day incubation period to see if there's a surge. And it's more for peace of mind. And it's also allowing me to get a little bit more comfortable before we get open. But in this newsletter, guys, we have a number of topics. And one of the things that came up having to do with raising prices, there's really two components here. One is some people are putting together PPE packages. And that PPE package is going to be in a sanitized bag. It's going to have everything for your client. You're going to be charging a X amount fee. It might be $10 or whatever. And then that's going to be ready for that client to come. And it covers that expense, of course. Whereas if they don't want to buy that PPE package, you might just have a general sanitation fee. So for you, Julie, with your question, that might be something that I would consider. Sounds like Sean's going to be doing a sanitation fee as well.
Yep.
And then the other thing too, when it comes to, booking and trying to create the same amount of revenue, this was something that came from a very prominent salon owner who we spoke with about preferential booking and how they're going to be doing their updated scheduling policy. And this is not something we're suggesting, but this is something that I want you guys to wrap your heads around to understand what other stylists are doing.
Right.
Some of these people are prioritizing their clients by, okay, is it the person that's just coming in for a haircut? Or is it the person that's coming in for that root touch up, that haircut, that style, who's guaranteed to buy products from you, etc.? Do they earn one of those preferential booking spots before that person who's trying to haggle with you on prices, trying to get in last minute and trying to get a haircut, So it's tough because you don't want to communicate to your clients and say, hey, look, you're not as important as this client. Everybody's as important. The reality, though, is we have a business and we have to make sure if we have the opportunity to bring in that additional income right now, because you're trying to pay your overhead and trying to stay alive right now and catch up on your outstanding bills from the past 2 months, there might be some things that you want to do to strategically book those clients from your backlogged list into your books. So you can see that, and the way to access this, I do have this screen ready so I can show it quickly and then we'll jump back to the chat. But this is our Instagram page, guys. It's Instagram.com/Sullivan Beauty. You can go there, and once you're on there, you can just click on this link in our bio right here. And from there, it brings you not only to this great landing page talking about this fine young man right here, but the next page here has all of our PPE products, and the third page here has our Sullivan stimulus package. And you click on that, and these are all folders that you can access. And that document, that newsletter document, lives in this reopen folder. So when you click on the reopen folder, you can go right to salon newsletter topics, for instance, and you can click right on this download button up here in the corner, and it downloads directly to your device. You can copy and paste some of the stuff. You can tweak it for your liking, etc. So that's how you find that. So let's see, back to the chat. Do you think we should double prices for clients who will have 8 to 10 week roots instead of 4 to 6 week roots? Double the product cost. Ooh, good question. How do you feel about that one, Sean?
So I think you should take it client by client, right? So if someone has been with you for 10 years and again, this is not her fault. Again, this is not your fault. But if this person has been with you for 10 years and they come in and they have, like you said, it's an 8 to 10 week route versus a 4 to 6, of course, you're going to use more product. I don't think anyone, let's put this on the table. I don't think anyone should be charged double. I don't think that's a thing. Because for me, it's $60 for a route. If you're going to double that, that's $120 just to get your roots done. Again, I think almost in a way that feels like I'm kind of pulling money away from someone. Again, I don't know what these people are, what's going on in their life, right? So I would say maybe we have in our salon, if we have to use extra color, there's an extra color charge, and it's always been there. So maybe that's something you should probably have on your menu maybe, or on your website if needing, or communication, in your emails. If I'm going to need to mix up more color, there will be an additional $10, $15, $20 charge to take care of the cost of color. So I don't think you should double charge. It's not taking you double the amount of time. I mean, I think it may take you 5 extra minutes, but it is taking you double the product. So I think you should charge for the product, not double the price.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go too. Let's think about what product cost is for that particular color line that you're using, and let's make sure that we're covering that, of course.
Yep.
And then you're charging for your time. So that's a great answer. So let's talk about that opening date. Do you guys think that you would open on the 18th, or what are your thoughts there?
So I think our governor is a little, really, I think he's a little strict on like opening and how we're going to do it. And he wants to have like a strategic plan for phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. I'm not really sure. I don't think that it will be something that we will be seeing. I mean, granted, we have New Hampshire and we have Connecticut and we have Maine all open or going to be open shortly. Maybe, but to kind of get onto your point, if I'm restricted to just doing root colors in my salon, where root colors makes up 25% of my business, is it worth it? Because again, I'm only making 25%, right? So that's something that we're going to be, we have been juggling, because we know that New Hampshire is that's their, haircut and root color. But, majority of what we do behind the chair at Salon Beau is we do balayage, we do foils, we do blondes. Like that is what we specialize as an entire salon. And if we weren't able to do that, then we would need to figure out a plan B. And, a soft opening is what I saw on that. I read that paper earlier today, and I don't know if anyone has seen that, but you definitely should go and read it. I know sitting in front of my computer, when I know I have to write an email, and it gets like overwhelming, and I don't know where to start, and I don't know how to approach it. Do I be like my, witty, fun self, or do I be more serious because we're talking about something serious? It's such a hard thing, but honestly, if you copy and paste what they have right on that paper, it's easy, it's to the point, you tweak what you need to, but I think it's super impressive, and I said that earlier today, and I think everyone should check that out. So, but the soft opening, I think that's just the way it will have to be. I don't think we'll all be able to go back to work, because again, if there was 6 of us, we have 6 clients, we're 12, we're at 12, and we have to be under 10. And then we have a receptionist there at all times. So I think what we'll have to do is we might have to, if we're only allowed 1 client at a time, we might have to do only 4 people at a time. Only 4 people working. And I'm working on a schedule. I think what we're going to do is, instead of split shifts, because I know that that's a lot of people are doing, as a hairstylist, I think we all can relate where sometimes things happen and we run behind. And whether that's 10 minutes or that's 5 minutes or that's 20 minutes, that might ruin the next people coming in. So they're going to be standing outside waiting to come in. So for me, we're going to do it by day. So, I will be working, we haven't fully committed to one plan yet, but we've been going back and forth. We work 3 days in a row, have 3 days off, then work 3 days in a row, have 3 days off, or 2, 2, 2, 2, or 1, 1, 1, 1. So we haven't really established exactly what it will be, but we will be open 7 days a week when we reopen.
There's a couple things there. So I think the whole concept of soft opening really also has to do with what you can capacitate. Do you know what the square footage of your salon is by chance?
Yeah, we're 1,200.
You're 1,200, and
Yep.
I've seen it, and your stations are not naturally 6 feet apart. So do you think you're going to have to like set up barriers, or are you going to move? What are you going to do there? Yeah,
so we have 9 stations in our salon. So it was on Monday. So Monday, I went to the salon. I got some orders. We're doing all online orders right now for our products, and we're just sending them, shipping them right out, which I believe you are doing something. So I think touch upon that as well. But so what we're doing is anything that we have in our system or on our shelves, we are sending those out. So we do like 10 to 15 orders every week, or I'm there every Monday and Friday to send them out. Cool. So I was in the salon, and I was there. I was getting everything ready. I figured that all out. I had a live to do. I did the live there. And then I was like, you know what? I have some time. Again, I have nothing to do. I started moving stations around. So we're actually going to pull 3 stations out of the salon.
Okay.
And then there will only be 6 stations, which will be super spread out. So that is our game plan right now. That is the only way that we can make it so that we can be 6 feet apart from everyone. Our salon is like an L. The main area in the reception area is much larger. And then we have another area that goes back where just the sinks are. So again, it's not like a 1,200 square feet perfect rectangle, which would be like easy to kind of navigate and push people around. So we have to work with what we have, and that is what we can do. So right now we can only have 6 stations. They will be double-sided. So people can be on both sides, because that would be 6 feet apart from each other. But that's what we got to do right now.
Got it. And there's been a lot of talk about, all right, if we have a capacity of how many people we can have in the salon and it's only at 10, and I have a receptionist who's handling most of my stuff, what am I going to do there? Am I going to pull the receptionist, et cetera? There's been a number of salons who have basically taken that receptionist and turned them into like a sanitation manager.
Yes.
And she's in charge, or he's in charge of setting up signage, making sure everything's disinfected in between clients, to helping the stylists in between their clients to operate efficiently. And then in some of the language from New Hampshire and Maine, for instance, they don't want to see any capacity of booking being done at the reception desk. They want to see everything being done digitally. So There's people trying to wrap their head around that. Do you have any plans for like an express checkout where you can go to the station? And if so, is it just like, here's your ticket, we'll take your credit card and bring it back to the front desk? Or is there like a portable, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, so we work with Square, which I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with. Yep. So we can literally do it right on our cell phones. So what the plan is right now, if that is something a part of the guidelines, we have plexiglass that is around our desk right now. So I already got that already ready to go. Because again, guys, I'm not just planning for like when we return in a week or 2 weeks or 4 weeks. I'm planning that, this thing that they say is going to come back around, and that, October, fall, or, winter, I'm ready for that. Like, I'm ready to conquer it before it even comes. So we're gonna plan not only for now, but for later as well. So we're putting plexiglass up, but what we'll do is our receptionist will be like a sanitation, manager, if you call it. They will be the person that goes outside. No one that has a temperature will be allowed in the salon. So we'll be taking temperature. I think, what are they? Infrared temperature. You basically put it on the forehead. They're getting their temperature taken. They are to wash their hands or then use hand sanitizer. They are putting on gloves. I mean, we're going to have a package for everyone, just like you said. Those bags of, we're going to have a mask. We're going to have gloves. And they're going to get that immediately, and then they'll be able to walk in. So they basically have to go through a test first. Again, just like New Hampshire is saying, just like most of the states are saying, you have to ask those like 4 questions, like have you had a temperature within the last like 72 hours, or whatever those questions are. Have you been out of the country, which I don't think anyone is traveling right now, but have you been around someone who has had COVID-19 or anything like that? You have to go through those lists. We are looking to mainstream that a little bit through our system that we use. We can make a file where they have to go through first to book the appointment, and then they'll sign at the bottom. So they'll physically sign that they have not been around someone for 72 hours that had COVID-19 or whatever the case may be. I don't know them off the top of my head, but that is something that we will do.
Sure. And for reference sake, guys, in that same folder I showed you, if you look at Maine's guidelines, they actually have a very specific set of questions that you are required to ask the client prior to booking, of which you just touched on them, Sean, on most of them. We're intending to try and help kind of combine all these questions, put them into a client survey. We're going to drop it into that reopen folder so people can copy and paste this onto your website like you're doing, or however you want to set it up. There's other people right now in our Facebook stylist group asking for, what is the word I am looking for? I almost said petition. It's not petition. They're asking for, a document where everybody's got to sign off on it. So I think that is going to be a relevant part of the process, of course. And hopefully we will have some more of these assets for you guys just to kind of tap into, so they're turnkey for you.
Yeah, yeah.
So, we basically at 4:02 p.m. covered the majority of topics I wanted to talk to you about. I found this to be very helpful. I'm going to go to our participants right now and say, if you have any other questions that you want to bump into the chat as we're kind of wrapping up here, you can do that. I also want to advise guys that in addition to that newsletter that we talked about, there are other resources in there that I personally would really recommend that you guys look at. There's one, for instance, from the American Industrial Hygiene Association, the AIHA, and it's the reopening guidance for hair and nail salons. Our good buddy Nate sent that over to me. He's a barber here in Boston, and it's awesome. But of course, we have to go by the mandated rules that our state is dictating. So you want to pay attention to that as they come out. Any final words from you, Mr. Sean?
I mean, my thing is no one is doing anything wrong, right? I think everyone has their own opinions. Everyone has their own game plan. We're all in this together. And I think everyone's throwing that around, right? We're all in this together. We're all in this together. And you can see on Instagram and you can see on some Facebook groups that as we're all saying we're all in this together, we also see the other part of where people don't agree with someone else as a hairstylist and, are bashing them or this or that. I think that is something that we need to kind of move away from. If it doesn't suit you, that's fine. Move on, right? Get the ideas. Like, please be open to what everyone and anyone says. You might not totally agree with what I say. That's totally fine. But just, I'm just throwing those ideas to bounce them off of you, just to kind of, so you get an idea of something. I don't think I'm saying you must do it this way. And I think that's what we said in the beginning. This is my opinion. And I think you should get as much opinion and as much input from so many people. Get into those groups, read them. Responding to people, I wouldn't even say you need to. Maybe put your opinion out there, but just try to see what everyone else is saying, because you know what? One of those comments and one of those people are going to say something that you never thought of and actually might transform your business, or what will be the new business, or what the new norm is. So I would just say, try to get as much information and much education as you possibly can, and just be very open.
Great. Yeah, it's important that we're all empathetic right now to everybody's situations. I think that's a fantastic message. It's really beneficial hearing from you and having the opportunity for our team to get to know you a bit. And would you be willing to come back at some point and do your branding 101 class?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And like you said, I think the biggest thing is right now, I mean, maybe a week ago or, 2 weeks ago when we started to do the Giving Back Hair Show, we started being like, yeah, let's do all this stuff, because we didn't have any like light at the end of the tunnel. And now I think we're starting to see those light at the end of the tunnel. So now we're really focused on that, right? That's our main focus. And so I'm glad that we didn't do branding today. I think we definitely should do branding in the future once we get back and we get through all of those clients, that list that we need to get through, and then we can like finally breathe again. And the new norm is like normal for us again, or normal for us at that point. I think that would be the time where you'll be able to absorb it all. Right now, I don't think that is that time. So I will absolutely be back.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for sharing your time and your input with us at
Absolutely.
Sullivan Beauty. We appreciate it, man. And best of luck to you with everything that's going on right now. And
Thank you.
back up and running. For any of our attendees who contributed with questions for Sean or myself, thank you very much for participating. Oh, it looks like we got one more question here. What is your preferred editing app software?
So I use Splice right now. That's something that I use. It's really user friendly. I used iMovie for a good amount of time. iMovie is free, Splice is not free. So, and they do similar things. I just kind of I'm weird about like the platform and just like how things are, where they are and all of that. Splice just works for me. It speaks to me. So I would say try iMovie first, play with that for a little bit, and then move on to something that you have to pay for.
Yeah, and mine is this guy right, where are you, buddy? Pick, Play, Post, it's called. Can't find it. There it is. Pick, Play, Post. It's this guy over here. And pick, play, post is really easy. It gives you different formats. It's got a lot of great filters built in. That is a free one, and we use that to edit a bunch of them right now. So
I think another one, if you are just getting into video and you don't know how to do any editing at all, Quick, Q-U-I-K, is really easy. You literally just upload all of your stuff, and then it will basically make a really good movie or really good video without you editing at all. So you can go back through and edit where you want, or where you want they'll cut like random spots, and it's actually really cool. It's something to check out. But it is good to at least start putting some video out, because guys, we got to get some videos on our Instagram. So if you're not posting on Instagram with videos, you're behind. So we got to start doing it a little bit.
Yeah, you're right. We'll be doing some tutorials on that too. So good stuff. Thanks again, Sean. We appreciate you.
You're very welcome. Bye, guys.
We'll catch up in the future. Bye, guys. Thanks for attending. Bye.